So how did this project come about for you?
I got the message through my agent, uh, Brett Nornsberg at Gersh, that they were interested in me playing a character, and I said, "Well, send me the script. I'd love to read it." And certainly a character that's in my wheelhouse. You don't have to twist my arm too hard to go beat up a bunch of Nazis.
So you didn't have to actually audition. They already knew your work.
They already were familiar with my work and liked me for this character, for this
That's
role.
great. That must feel nice that you've made it to a certain extent, at least. You don't have to audition so much.
Yeah, that's always nice when somebody has you in mind for a particular character, a particular role. Um, I don't mind the audition process. I think it's good training. It's good practice. Keeps you sharp. Got to memorize those lines. You got to put yourself out there in front of a bunch of people that you don't know and try to perform and do the best you can to hopefully be the person that they see playing that character when in the actual project. And that's a challenge. That's the competitive side of this business. And when I walked away from fighting, I needed something to fill that competitive void.
Right. And I'm not, since this is your second career and you've done so much, you're probably not as nervous about auditioning or getting so disappointed if you don't get it as someone in, say, in their 20s just starting out. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't get disappointed about it. Definitely not nervous about it. That's walking out of that tunnel in front of 20 plus thousand people in your board shorts to potentially get knocked out sets the bar for getting nervous about things pretty high.
Right,
Um,
right.
and like I don't know anybody, nobody's punching me in the face. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be fine.
That's good.
So,
Maybe
but
all
at the
actors
same
should
time,
prepare
you
that
are
way.
at the same time, we're all competitive and you want to get those roles. Every time you go
Sure.
audition, you want to nail it. You want to get that role. So, and there's always that disappointment when you don't get the call back.
Right. And did you have any input into your character or the way it was filmed, anything like that?
Uh, Certainly when it comes to choreographing a fight
Mhm.
and that engagement, I mean, that's what led me to this profession and getting that first acting job in Cradle to the Grave in the first place.
Mhm.
What was the physicality of mixed martial arts and being that athlete. So the stunt coordinators are almost as intrigued and interested to hear what I want to do in some of those situations as what they want to do or how they see it together. And everything changes when you get in the actual space. It's one thing to read a fight on black in black and white on paper, but it's going to change everything once you get in the space you actually want to film. And where's that camera set up? And where's all the furniture and everything else that's in that space? And how
Right.
do we maneuver and operate around that to tell the tale, to tell the scene? So I never get too carried away with it. Reading it, I think that gives you an idea of what's involved, but I know it's always a function of on the day when we block this out, adjustments and tweaks are going to have to be made to fit the space.
Did you ever consider becoming a stunt coordinator?
I've actually done some coordinating here
Oh,
and there, lent my expertise. I don't think I've got a credit as a coordinator, but like I said, most of those guys want to talk to me.
right.
Love what we do in mixed martial arts. They're martial artists themselves, most of them. So getting to collaborate and share our ideas and what tactic or what technique is going to fit this scenario and look great for the cameras and sell is they're all about that, every single one of them. So I like that part. That's the intriguing part to
I'll
figure out
bet.
how to
Yeah.
fit it all in.
It's
Yeah,
fun, fun challenge, right?
absolutely.
I like the mutton chops, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's the gray coming out.
Oh,
I'm actually growing this beard out for a role I have coming up. I have to play a guy that's living very off the grid.
so
Another kind of a psychological thriller,
nice.
and I play that psycho. So I'm growing this out. I've got 3 PFL fights coming up in August too, so I'm probably going to have to do all 3 of those fights with the shaggy beard.
Well, without giving too much away, the movie has some religious aspects with angels and good versus evil. Did that appeal to you?
I think that's certainly the society and the world we live in these days. There seems to be a big tug of war going on right now between some good and some evil in the world, and I don't know that that's ever been an era in human existence that hasn't been the case, to
Right.
be honest. So Um, yeah, it certainly appeals to me. Uh, I guess one of the funnest parts about being an actor is you get to say and do things you would never get to say and do in real life.
Right, especially when you're playing the bad guy.
Absolutely correct. Not to give anything away.
No, well, I imagine most of your parts you're playing the big bad guy that's beating people up.
It happens a lot. It
Yeah,
does. I get a lot of the action stuff, which I like. I like that genre. I've always liked that genre just as a moviegoer.
sure.
Um, but at the same time, as a person, I want to stretch myself. I want to challenge myself. I would love to play a lead in a romantic comedy. And I'm not sure I'll get those roles with these ears, but I think it's worth it. I would
I
love to
don't
do
think
it.
your ears are big. Maybe
Oh,
it's the hat.
I
No,
got some very nice cauliflower.
oh, cauliflower. Yeah, it's makeup, they can do all kinds of things with that.
The makeup people love the cauliflower ears.
Oh, do they?
I guess that's a challenge in makeup school
Ah,
is they have to put a cauliflower ear on somebody, and it's not something that most people are exposed to. So
right. So, yeah, I was going to ask you if you at some point wanted to do different types of roles, non-action, comedy, superhero stuff where you're actually the hero, that kind of thing.
I would absolutely like to do any of that stuff. I think
Medical
that's the
drama.
challenge. I can do, yeah. I can do the physical stuff, the action stuff and the physical stuff with my eyes closed. That's certainly what got my foot in the door and led to being an actor. But I want those challenges. I love the dramatic stuff, all of that stuff. Comedy would be fun. I think, put me in the right circumstance
Oh, yeah.
with the right writer. And I'm very, very good friends with Mike Socio, who writes for Will Smith, and
Oh,
all the way back in the Fresh Prince days. And
wow.
we've tossed around some scripts that, with some comedy. Can you imagine a germophobic mixed martial artist? There would
That
be
would
some
be
good
funny.
comedy.
Like Mr. Monk, but a martial artist.
There you go.
So do you have a particular person that you would think not as a mentor, but somebody that you look up to and want to model your career after, or somebody that you whose acting you like that you
Cool. Well,
think of as, role
I,
model or
yeah, there's two names that come to mind. One of them I've had the good fortune to work with, and that's Sly Stallone.
hmm.
I mean, I grew up watching Rambo, which was filmed in my home state of Washington, in Hope, Washington, uh, as a kid, and was a soldier. I was in the Army from '82 to '88. Um, I've admired so many of the projects and the things that he's put together, and then to get to work with him on Expendables and actually watch him direct and watch him write and watch him do all the rewrites and all the stuff that were involved with those four films was a great learning experience, and certainly somebody that I admired as a kid, as an actor, and now as an adult and an aspiring actor. Those are the kind of guys you want to pay attention to. He has an amazing career. He's a very intelligent man. He knows his wheelhouse. The other one who I've never met, who I've always been intrigued with and have always admired as well, is Clint Eastwood.
Oh,
I think Gran Torino is one of my favorite movies. I grew up on all the spaghetti westerns and all of his westerns. Outlaw Josie Wales has certainly been a standout western film for me as a kid and even as an adult. So those are probably the two guys I would say I would like to emulate or learn from for sure.
so did you get to work much at all with Cuba Gooding Jr., Denise Richards in the movie, and what was it like with them?
I have worked with Denise before. We did a
Mhm.
movie
Oh,
called Alpha Code, and we have a lot of scenes together in that film, and she was a delight. She was great to work with. I really enjoyed working with her. We spent some time in the Czech Republic, in Prague, working on that film, and it was a blast. I did not have any scenes with her or Cuba in this film, um, and I watched the film last night for the first time in completion.
wow.
Obviously, I saw some of my role and my
Right.
scenes in the film, but I hadn't seen it from start to finish till last night. I intentionally watched it last night just so I knew what the hell I was talking about today. Um, I didn't have any scenes with Cuba, and I thought he played Baltasar great.
Yeah.
You know, he that the dialogue just flows out of him and flows off of him, makes it look so natural, and he just did a great job. But I didn't get to meet him. I didn't get to work with him.
Oh,
So
that's too bad.
that's just the way it goes
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
Did the lead character is a Marine and the people he recruits are Marines. Did they have any former Marines on the set as experts?
I wonder who they used as a military consultant for some of the tactical scenes, both in the wartime when the flashbacks of the Warriors for Peace, they flash back to actual military
Right,
service, and I wonder who they used. I didn't meet anybody. Obviously, none of the scenes I was involved in
right.
were parts of those flashbacks or part of that. So I don't know who they used. Um, Again, I'm never going to be a critic, certainly of a movie I'm involved with, but of films in general. I'm pretty easily entertained, and I thought they did a pretty good job of capturing the combat and the situation to set up these warriors of peace and where they were coming from and what their background was.
Well, you
There
were
were
in
a
the
couple of faux
military,
pas.
so you were in the military though. So did those scenes look really good to you when they were back in?
They looked very good. I only saw one real discrepancy. Having the colored rank on those camouflage uniforms was a mistake. But
Oh,
again, at the end of the day, I'm not going to be that terribly critical of anything.
yeah, yeah.
I was entertained. I thought they were well done. Otherwise, all the tactical movements and all the other stuff that they portrayed was done very well.
Okay. And after you stopped being a wrestler and when you became an actor, did you go to an acting coach, or are you taking acting coach? I don't know if they're called lessons now, or have you been doing
Acting classes,
yeah,
yeah.
acting class?
I took a couple acting classes early on, and they were interesting. They were very kind of touchy feely and all about being in the moment, which is exactly what you have to do when you walk on that set and walk
Sure.
in front of that camera, is be in the moment. Certainly be prepared, be diligent, know your lines, know your cues. It's not just about knowing my lines. I have to know that person's line too, because
Right.
when they say that, I need to say this.
Sure.
And the acting classes were, I think, good for once you realize why you're doing what you're doing and what the exercise was all about. I grasped it. I think I learned way more from my acting coach. I eventually found an acting coach, Barry Primus. He's a great guy. We connected immediately. I was reading for a role in Knockout on FX. It was a kind of a boxing series. They only did one season. Got the call back, and it came down to me and Holt McCallan. And I've gotten to know Holt because I played aside from him in another film, but and he's a great guy. He ended up getting a nod. I didn't get the role in that FX series, but I found my acting coach, and Barry and I have worked together a lot, trying to find a way to tell the truth and relate to these characters so you can portray them correctly.
Well, that's great. That's good to have someone that can help you like that. Um, and what was the most fun part for you making the movie?
I think getting to see the finished product is the funnest part.
Really?
I certainly love to be on set and love the action and figuring out how to make everything work and look right and feel right and come together. That's the magic, honestly. But then getting to roll in, to the theater or sit on your couch and watch the finished product for the first time and see it all put together, that's truly a remarkable thing, and that's the fun part.
And what part was the most challenging, would you say?
Um, the waiting is the most challenging. I'm not a guy that likes to sit around and on a set, you are going to spend hours and hours sitting in your trailer or sitting in that chair, waiting for that next setup, waiting for that opportunity to walk out there and do what you've been preparing to do. So the waiting is the hardest part, honestly. I think the Army prepared me very well for that hurry up and wait mentality. To quote De Niro, I think he said, "Oh, they don't pay me to act. I love that part. They pay me to wait."
Do you have a particular thing you do? I mean, some people knit or they listen to music or whatever. Do you have?
I certainly keep my iPad. I've been writing poetry since I was in college,
Oh,
so I'll end
okay.
up writing poems. I took up the harmonica while I was on set, in Bulgaria on Expendables 3, and started playing the harmonica just based off the YouTube, and figured out how to play the harmonica. So, something to occupy your time,
Yeah.
and you get bored sometimes. You end up tearing your backpack apart and cleaning it out and rebooting it and putting it all back together. You find ways to occupy your time.
And do you have a social media channel or anything where we can read any of your poetry or hear you play the harmonica?
There's some of it. Some reason turning 50 for me was a big birthday. 40 didn't mean crap. I was still getting punched
Right.
in the face. It was just another birthday. But half a century of life experience was kind of an epiphany for me. I'd never shared any of my poems before that.
Oh,
Very few people knew I actually wrote poetry. I have a degree in foreign language and literature from Oklahoma State. I studied a lot of the best. I focused on German.
hmm.
Because I was stationed in Germany as a soldier, and lived there and had a German landlord and wrestled for a German club team and suffered from the language barrier. So I knew the only thing I wanted to learn when I was in college was how to speak some better German. Um, that ultimately led me down the road, but it wasn't something I ever shared till I turned 50. So there's some of them out there online on Instagram. XCNatch is my handle there. I don't think, maybe some of them on Facebook too. Randy the Natural Couture on Facebook is the fan page.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you talking to me today.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.